Rand Water is warning residents of Tshwane and Johannesburg to reduce water consumption. This is to avoid a possible system collapse in both cities. The water utility says levels have been dropping at an alarming rate. And joining us now is Makenosi Maroo, who is Rand Water's spokesperson. A very good afternoon to you, Makenosi. Thanks very much for your time. Is it simply a question of demand outstripping supply?
Good afternoon, Mr. Voyo, and good afternoon to your viewers. Yes, it is a question of the demand outstripping the supply. It means just the consumption is too high, and we can look at factors behind the high consumption. But there are other factors that are actually contributing to us not being able to supply water to our customers.
Let's start with those factors behind the excessively high consumption levels. What are those?
What we are witnessing, we are actually focusing on the three metros, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and City of Johannesburg. The reason why we're focusing on the three metros, it's because the bulk of the water that we purify, we supply to the three metros. Over 70% of the water that we purify, we supply to the three metros. Hence, we are focusing on how they are consuming water. At the moment, the consumption is high. We can attribute that to high temperatures. We can attribute that to leakages, old infrastructure. There are a number of reasons why this is happening. Remember also we have legal mining. So there are a number of factors that are contributing, but the bottom line is the consumption is too high and it needs to be managed.
Why is it taking so long to deal with, or fix rather, the leakages, for an example?
Look, it's difficult for me to speak on behalf of municipalities. I think it would be better if they speak on their own, so that we understand precisely why it's taking them long to fix the leaks and to look after their infrastructure. But from Rainwater's side, I'm sure you've seen even from beginning of the year in 2024 and the end of 2024, we have been busy with maintenance. We have been communicating that we are busy looking after our infrastructure to ensure that we are able to supply water for the future generation and this generation.
But then, I mean, their inability to fix leakages affects your work, as well. And I'm sure during conversations that you would have heard among yourselves, reasons must have been forwarded for why they can't fix leakages.
Yes, a number of reasons have been forwarded. Some areas it's difficult for the metros and other municipalities to go and visit because there is violence. Residents don't allow municipalities to go in. In other instances, it's a question of budget constraints. Some municipalities don't have budget to fix, but that's where Rainwater comes in. We are actually having those discussions, intergovernmental relations discussions, to ensure that we really come up with a solution, a permanent solution to the problem.
What about storage levels, which apparently are dropping at an alarming rate?
Yes, we have noticed that the storage levels are dropping, and the reason is because of high consumption. Municipalities are actually going above the licensed quota, so they are consuming more than they are supposed to be consuming. So there are a number of areas that we need to look at, like we were saying, fixing the infrastructure, also ensuring that there is how do I put it? It's a permanent solution that we are having, not just a temporary solution, because we've been talking about this for the past few years. Now we need to come up with a solution that is permanent, where we'll be able to say, look, we're able to supply water without any challenges.
Well, this has been with us for years, you say, but in the past, have customers actually responded positively whenever you have had to make these calls, like the one you're making now, for them to reduce their consumption?
Yeah. Some customers in the past, they did respond positively, but obviously others did not respond. Hence, we came in as Rainwater. We came with a solution. We throttled water as we wanted to protect the integrity of our infrastructure. We cannot allow our reservoirs and our infrastructure to run completely dry. So what we did is, as soon as we reach a certain level, we throttle the system. We provide municipalities with water at different times so that the system does not run completely dry.
Now, apparently, electricity is also complicating your work. Talk to us about that.
All right. Yes, it is true. We are experiencing power outages. Just to give an example, on Tuesday, on the 11th of February, we did have a total power failure at the Mfuleni power substation. Remember, we have a rainwater treatment plant, which is reliant in terms of power on the Mfuleni local municipality. So if there is a failure from Mfuleni in terms of the transformer not working, we are not able to pump and supply water to our customers, especially the Ekenhof, Yeoville, and Benoni and other areas. So we were not able to supply water. In other words, this was part of the reason why our reservoirs are also running dry. Yes, the high consumption, but also the inability to pump water due to the unavailability of power in an area in Vereeniging.
Now, with some of these problems, leakages, for example, seemingly, intractable, these issues doesn't look like they're going to be resolved any time soon. Temperatures are going to remain high, we're told. Among the reasons is, the problems of the weather patterns, not only in these metros, but across the country and indeed across the world because of factors like global warming. How does the future, look like?
Look, I don't want to say that the future looks bleak. We are approaching day zero because now we don't want to really scare people and have this fearmonger that we'll not have water in the next few years. As Rainwater, as part of government, we are coming up with solutions. We are working with the Department of Water and Sanitation. We are working with COPTA to come up with solutions to ensure that we don't get to day zero like Cape Town did. So what we are doing is we are saying, if a reservoir is not healthy enough, this is where Rainwater will intervene. We are still giving municipalities an opportunity to introduce restrictions. I know at the moment they are on level 1. There are proposals that they can move to level 2. So those are still negotiations to ensure that we are able to conserve water so that we all have an equitable share when it comes to water. So at the moment, I wouldn't want to be saying we are approaching day zero. We are avoiding day zero. Hence, we are communicating. Hence, we are raising this alarm. Hence, we are communicating and saying, please conserve water. Please use water sparingly.
But can you really say we will avoid a day zero if we have problems that can actually be resolved, but which aren't being resolved? I mean, we've been talking for years about aging infrastructure, frequent pipe bursts, inadequate investment in maintenance and upgrades. Add to that problems of population growth, more people descending on these Gauteng metros year in and year out. It would seem that there's no avoiding day zero as much as we are or need to be hopeful.
Yeah. Look, if we're saying we're avoiding day zero or we are trying to avoid day zero, something has to give. As I was indicating that if we're trying to avoid day zero, it means Rainwater has to come in and throttle the system. It means we'll have water at certain times so that we don't deplete our reservoirs completely. We all know how big reservoirs are. If we have to deplete them and start refilling them up from scratch, it's going to take us months. So what we're trying to do is ensure that we protect the integrity of the system does not collapse, the system does not go empty. But we need to work with the residents, we need to work with municipalities and other stakeholders to ensure that we are able to supply water, and we are able to supply water without any interruptions and challenges.
Makenosi Maroo, thank you very much for your time. She's the spokesperson for Rand Water, urging the people of Johannesburg, Tshwane, and of course Ekurhuleni to use water sparingly to avoid day zero.